So hey, here's the weirdest set of words I ever heard of. Disney Channel original anime. Jeez, that just left a weird taste in my mouth. Tastes like plastic. The combination of Disney and Japanese anime sounds like a recipe for disaster, especially in the 2000s. Because on one hand, you got the Disney Channel, who make shows that are usually centered around of being relatable, fun for the whole family even. And on the other hand, there's anime, which is... I mean... it could be family friendly. The point I'm trying to make is that the thought of Disney making an anime is weird, and would most likely become a bizarre product that is trying to be both whimsical and intensely serious, but in the end devolve into edgy nonsense while trying to act deeper than it actually is. Or in layman's terms, Kingdom Hearts. But lo and behold, in 2008, Disney Japan made a CGI show, and by technicality, makes it an anime. So let's discuss it, shall we? So today, we're gonna be looking at Disney Channel's original anime, Fireball. There's that plastic taste again. Anyway, let's just jump right in and see what the hell this thing even is, shall we? So Fireball takes place in a far-off future, in a city inhabited by sentient robots with a huge tower in the middle. It's here where we follow the Duchess of this tower, Drossel von Flugel, I hope I'm saying that right. And her main servant,
Gedächtnis.
Yeah, this guy. As they try to figure out what to do about the human forces that are slowly encroaching to their location. Except they don't do that. They just kind of waste time. Look, let's just cut the bullshit. The series and its sequential sequels are roughly 2-minute comedy sketches that uses the overarching story as more of a background piece or a setup for a joke. With every episode more or less playing out as an Abbott and Costello Who's on First style skit. But here Abbott is a Mega Man X sub-boss looking old butler, and Costello is Hatsune Miku.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
Each episode usually revolves around Drossel either coming to Godokness with a question or just fucking around. And the two just kind of go off on a tangent from there, with Godokness just rolling with Drossel's shenanigans like the Chad he is. It's only in the very end of the series where we actually get some sort of progression, an actual big moment in the story, only to be left with an unanswered cliffhanger, and at the start of the sequel, we go back to the status quo. However, Fireball does something that makes the return to basics feel less like a retcon. Something we'll talk about later. But at the end of the day, this series is a sketch comedy that only uses its world as a way to set up the humor. And the quality of that humor is... we'll get to that too. So instead, let's talk about the 3D because, ooh boy, it's pretty good. But I mean, come on, this is Disney. They don't snub on presentation. Just representation. And even though this franchise has a very sporadic release schedule, with the first series coming out in 2008, the next one coming out in 2010, to 2017, to the newest one that came out in 2020, each one's visual design is always great for the time, and it keeps getting better in each iteration. Look, I know, I'm stretching this, but ever since the last review left a permanent scar on my psyche, any CG show or movie that is at least a C- or higher is good enough to keep me from succumbing to the Eldritch Void. And I guess since we're on the visuals, let's talk about the character design. And by that, I mean I'm gonna be talking about the two main leads because they're the ones you're gonna be seeing the most. Unless, you want me to have an in-depth discussion about this random monkey. Well, to start, even though each series changes up the appearance of both characters, the core idea of their design stays the same. Godokness is this huge quadrupedal construction vehicle-like machine with a glowing red mono eye in the middle, and Drossel is... Hatsune Miku.
Why the fuck You lying. Why you always lying? Oh my god. Stop fucking lying.
Her design is clearly based off of Japanese idols, and each iteration is made to make the character appealing and, most importantly, marketable. Now, that's not to say that this is bad. In fact, the design of this character was kind of the reason I was curious on what this show was even in the first place. So, it's doing something right. And it also fits the character herself, and goes well with some of the jokes in the show, which... Okay, let's talk about the comedy. Now, humor is subjective. What one person finds funny may not hit the same chord for someone else. That's why writing comedy can be very hit or miss, and what can make it even more hit or miss is when it's a comedy from a foreign country. What I'm trying to say is that this show can fall flat sometimes. One of the big problems with this is that the jokes can come a mile a minute, with characters sometimes talking over each other without stopping, causing one to have to go back and pause the show just to read what's going on. Which leads to the next problem. Reading. There's just too many words. Now, I am a longtime watcher of these Japanese baby shows, so I'm used to reading subtitles to understand what's going on. But when the subtitles go a mile a minute while having a lot of stuff happen on screen at the same time, yeah, you can miss a lot. Which is kind of a shame because I genuinely think this anime is funny. It had a lot of moments that actually gave me a good chuckle. And they even make a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference? I don't think any Japanese kid or teen would get that. But I did. And I appreciate it. And all of it is thanks to the dynamic relationship of the two leads, who are able to bounce off each other at a moment's notice to make a lot of these jokes land. With Duraso's curious and stuck-up princess-like demeanor mixed with Godokness' more reserved and fairly chilled nature, the two managed to help make this entire anime a lot more fun to watch. And I think my favorite episode to talk about is episode 12 of the sequel series, Fireball Charming. In this episode, humans are attacking the tower, and everything's getting topsy-turvy. This leads to Duraso demanding Godokness to tell her about the origins of this world, in which he does, in a very lengthy way.
先が長そうね。
この後約800ページ、フリューゲル家の偉大なる公共事業の歴史が綴られます。
はしょって。
It is here when Godokness mentions charming mankind, and that they will help bring balance to the world. The last relic of this charming mankind comes in the form of this vehicle with the word charming written on it. Or at least until Duraso starts rubbing on it, which leads to... But yeah, discounting the pacing and the language barrier, Fireball is actually pretty amusing. They were able to do a lot with these two characters in a single room without having the routine become stale. Which reminds me, let's talk about something interesting. Remember at the start of this how I talked about each series ending on a cliffhanger, then they start back up in the same place as they once were? Well, that's because each series afterwards is a prequel, meaning they keep doing the same shtick without sacrificing continuity. It also gives a good reason for past jokes, like a running gag in the first series where Duraso keeps forgetting Godokness' name, only to be revealed in the sequel that she actually forgot due to an upgrade issue. Or how they keep alluding to Duraso's late dad in the majority of the show, only to show him later to be a big fucking gorilla bot. I love it. In the end, Fireball and its sequels were a pretty neat time. It's nothing mind-blowing or neat to see, but it's cute, it's fun, and it has memorable characters. And I feel like that's good enough. However, I do have to note, at the time of this recording, there is no legal way to watch this. There was never official translation, by my knowledge, and the entire show is going to be on Disney+, but exclusively to Japan. So if you ever want to get your hands on it, then hoist up them anchors, fly that Jolly Roger, and set out to find a pretty decent anime made by Disney. And then there's that plastic taste again. And that's the end of this video. This one was kind of on the shorter side this time, mainly because I'm preparing something new for the channel. And if you've seen the 50 sub extravaganza, then you know exactly what I'm talking about, and if not, well... go watch it. It's 4 minutes long. But as always, I'm DavKav. I hope you all have a great day. And now it's time to move on to the fan mail segment of this video. So let's head out to here. Welcome to DavKav's Fan Mail, where I read your fan mail that you send to me. Today's fan mail comes from a guy named Walter. Hi Walter, how you doing? Okay, let's see what you wrote for me, shall we? Dear Mr. DavKav, It's a Disney cease and desist. Well,